Bows, TKOs, yeah. Bows, TKOs, we got bows, TKOs, yeah. Bows, TKOs, we got bows, TKOs, yeah. Bows, TKOs.
Foes and TKOs. We are live, episode 134, coming at you from the Valley. I'm your host, Shane Gillette, for this weekly MMA podcast, streaming anywhere you listen to podcasts with videos on YouTube. I'm going to start working on the new video podcasts on Apple Podcasts and where else those are as well. But lots to figure out there. I got a full-time job, lots going on there as well. Regardless, lots to talk about in the MMA world. We have some fights that have been announced, some interesting things happening on UFC BJJ and just in the MMA universe. And then we will be previewing this location-based fight night after a week off in Houston. So let's jump right into it. We have a banger right here. A couple veterans, Drew Dober, Michael Johnson at UFC 326. That should be a certified scrap. We have Mitch Raposo taking on Alan Nascimento. April 18th, this is officially announced in Ottawa, Canada. As well as Jasmine Jasdavicius returning against Karine Silva. Should be a really good fight. We have Norma Dumont taking on Yana Santos April 25th. With all the things that Yana Santos has been through, she is now fighting Norma Dumont, and if she wins, that will probably get the next title shot. Although I do expect Norma to win that and get the next title shot. Elsewhere, big news from MVP Promotions, Jake Paul, and Netflix. Ronda Rousey will be taking on Gina Carano. Both women haven't fought in a long time. This will be at the Intuit Dome, the Clippers' new awesome arena with that sweet halo screen, the light-up interactive stands. May 16th, big-time arena on Netflix, lots of eyeballs. We know how marketable Ronda Rousey is. For me, as a current and longtime UFC fan, I don't expect much. Maybe a staple Ronda Rousey round 1 or round 2 armbar. They have been not fighting in quite some time. I'm sure they've been training. I don't think the UFC misses out too much. I'm sure there's rumors that Dana White was trying to give Ronda this fight under the UFC promotion, but they couldn't guarantee pay-per-view points because they no longer have the pay-per-view model. So she went with MVP and Netflix probably for more eyeballs. I don't think this is going to be that great of a fight. I'll tune in. It'll be worth checking out. But huge news and a huge win for MVP Promotions. I haven't been talking a ton about UFC BJJ fight or BJJ as of late. I just haven't really liked the product. Although they are getting submissions, they are very offensive. It's not stalemate jiu-jitsu. The headliners do a lot of leg locks. I don't know. I'm a big UFC guy, big BJJ guy. They just still haven't found a way to really get you to tune in as a viewer, in my opinion. But there was some big events last week as the guy that the UFC has built this around, Mikey Musumeci, defends his title as well as Ronaldo Souza Jr. So let's get into it. UFC Houston after another week off for the President's Day weekend. Prelims at 2 p.m. Pacific, main card 5 p.m. Pacific, all, of course, on Paramount+. To preview this card, I will say the prelims are pretty light, but I do think there's a couple of bangers. The main card, very top-heavy, but again, some really good scraps with major implications on the line. The main event is very intriguing as well. I expect the Houston crowd to show up and show out. The vibe should be strong. It should be a wild crowd. But as a card overall, I am previewing this a 5 out of 10. Some good fights we will not break down. A lot of Contender Series alums. We have Ultimate Fighter alum Juliana Miller taking on Carly Judice. Jordan Levitt taking on Contender Series alum Yadier Devalle. We have Phil Rowe taking on Contender Series alum Jean-Paul Laboznoyani. We have Alden Correa taking on Contender Series alum Luis Urel. And Contender Series alum Jacoby Smith taking on Josiah Harrell in the main card. Not breaking these down. A lot of new names. The Yadier Devalles, Jean-Paul Laboznoyani. The women's fight, I don't expect a lot. The only one that potentially we could have broke down was the Jacoby Smith fight. Why? Because fucking Jacoby Smith. But I expect him to dominate until he gets into stiffer competition. A lot of people probably won't be watching these fights, only the hardcores, I always do. But I don't think it's really worth breaking them down. So we're going to kick this off in the prelims. One hell of a fight. I think fight of the night potential. We have Ramiz Brahimaj, 33 years old with a 13-5 record, taking on Punahele Puna Soriano, 33 years old with a 12-4 record. Now this is a hell of a showdown. We get two men in the middle of their primes at 33 years old. Puna in his last four of his last 6 wins have all been via knockout since he's moved down in weight classes. And Ramiz's last 13 wins have been via a finish, whether TKO, knockout, or submission. I mean, this is going to be an amazingly high-paced brawl. The fight is probably going to be the tone setter for the Houston fans to get the momentum going. Breaking this down, Ramiz is an LFA alum. 2 of his last 3 fights have been performance of the night. He's absolutely showing up. He's showing out. He's also on a 3-fight win streak. 3-1 since 2023. And 12 of his last 13 wins are via knockout. Sheesh! To the other fighter, Punahele, he trains out of Extreme Couture with Eric Nixick. Very good team there. He has a brown belt in judo. He has a D2 wrestling background out of Wartburg College. And he placed 7th at the NCAA's as a collegiate wrestler. He's a PFL, Titan FC, LFA, and Contender Series alum. He has the most significant ground strikes landed in a bout in UFC history and welterweight history, which was 136 against Miguel Baeza. Come on. He has the most total ground strikes landed in a UFC welterweight bout with 317 versus Miguel Baeza. He has the second most total strikes landed in a UFC welterweight bout with 331, also against Miguel Baeza. Complete domination in that fight. I think that was his first fight in a weight class below as well. In welterweight, he was a middleweight fighter. And he's a big welterweight, man. He has the highest significant strike differential in UFC welterweight history, plus 137 against Miguel Baeza. He has the highest strike differential for total strikes in round 3 in a 3-round UFC bout at plus 309 versus Miguel Baeza. He has the most total strikes landed in a round in UFC history. He had 184 in round 3 against Miguel. He's on a 3-fight winning streak, and he is 3-2 since 2023, but a pristine 3-0 at the welterweight division. Now, my guess in this fight is that Ramiz is going to initiate some of the wrestling, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to take Puna down. You know, he's a former collegiate wrestler, but he's just a powerhouse of a human being, especially in the welterweight division. I do think most of the fight is going to be standing, and there are going to be plenty of bombs fired by both fighters, potential round 1 or 2 finish in store. I'm excited for this fight. It's very action-packed. I just think Puna is the bigger, more explosive fighter, and unless Ramiz could be really slick with his technical striking to just outpoint Puna or somehow be able to hold him down, that's his best path to victory, but I'm going with Punahele Soriano. So I am taking Puna, but I'm avoiding this on any parlays. This is a pretty 50-50 toss-up fight, and the winner of this fight is going to rocket ship themselves into the rankings, which is perfect because they're 33 years old. Moving on, we have some women's MMA. We have Nora Cornell, 36 years old with a 9-3 record and the number 12 next to her name, taking on Jocelyn La Pantera Edwards, 30 years old with a 16-6 record and the number 14 next to her name. And this isn't as pristine as the flyweight and strawweight divisions, but these are 2 top 15 ranked fighters in the bantamweight division, which is very shallow. I mean, this is an interesting rematch, actually, back from September of 2023. In that fight, Nora defeated Jocelyn after Jocelyn took her down 5 times, and she had 40 significant strikes in that fight to Edwards' 18. Now, Jocelyn is approved. She's now in her prime at 30 years old. And Nora, at 36 years old, definitely is getting older and has had some tough outings. I do think the odds are pretty crazy. Edwards is a minus 310 favorite. I really don't agree with those odds. I think it's closer. I do still think she should be the favorite, and she should have success taking Nora down. It is going to be decided if she can advance those positions and land some damage, unlike she did back in 23. Breaking this down, Nora has a Muay Thai style. She won silver in the 2022 Worlds for Muay Thai. She's a UAE Warriors alum. She's on a one-fight losing streak, is 3-2 since 2023, and 6 of her 9 wins are via knockout. Now, Jocelyn has an orthodox stance. She trains out of King's MMA. She has a purple belt in BJJ. She's the King of the Cage and LFA alum and former King of the Cage champion. She is on a 3-fight winning streak, 4-2 since 2023. 7 of her 16 wins are via knockout, 4 via submission, so 11 of her 16 wins via finish. That is very impressive. Now, Jocelyn's kind of on a roll. After back-to-back first-round knockouts in 2025, she's feeling herself. She's definitely leveled up and is fighting at the best that she has in her career. I still think she doesn't try to just stand in exchange with Nora. I do think she will look for takedowns here. But this fight is going to be a dog fight. I could see it going back and forth, but I do expect Jocelyn to win with her control time on the ground. For that reason, I am taking Jocelyn Edwards, but again, avoiding this on any parlays. Anything is possible here. Moving on to the flyweight division. We have Odie, the Jamaican sensation Osborne, 34 years old with a 13-9-1 record, taking on Alibi Idris, 31 years old with an 11-1 record. I think if you're getting a top 15 type fighter, which I think Odie Osborne is, the flyweight division is always fun. So this is an intriguing fight. We get Alibi in his prime at 31, although he's newer to the UFC. He came from the Ultimate Fighter, where he lost in the finale to Joseph Morales, who's had success in the UFC. And he's a solid grappler, a decent striker. And Odie, he's kind of had a roller coaster of a career, very up and down, but has shown potential as a striker. He's very athletic, very explosive. Obviously, as a flyweight, very quick and powerful. He just has not done well against grappling defense, so that is the key here. Breaking this fight down, Odie has a southpaw stance. He has a purple belt in BJJ and kickboxing. He's an RFA and Contender Series alum. He's on a one-fight losing streak and is 2-4 since 2023. 6 of his 13 wins are via knockout, 4 via submission, so 10 of his 13 wins via finish, and 4 of his 9 losses are via submission. Now, Alibi is a Ultimate Fighter alum. He's on a one-fight losing streak, which is 0-1 in the UFC, and 4 of his 11 wins are via knockout. Now, this fight, like majority of the fights that happen in flyweight, it should be very high-paced, high-action, but I would not be shocked if both men slowed down in the back half of this fight and fought to a close decision or potentially even split decision, because I could see Odie working the outside, point fighting Alibi, and Alibi having grappling advantages. Both men have a ton on the line with this one, so it should make for a doozy. The key is, can Odie stay on his feet and not be held down enough to get the job done? For the sake of picking, I am taking Odie Osborne, but again, I'm avoiding this on any parlays. I do think it's another coin flip fight. Moving on, still in the prelims, we have a banger. When you talk about stylistic showdowns, this is a beauty. We get Chidi Bang Bang Njokwani, 37 years old with a 25-11 record, taking on Carlos the Lion Leal, 31 years old with a 22-7 record. Now, when you track a card to look for just fight of the night banger potential, this fight is exactly what that is. Both men are two heavy-handed strikers who rarely fight to a decision. Chidi hasn't seen a third round since 2024, and Carlos hasn't since then either. Both men fight to kill or be killed, and they're coming off losses, which should make this even more interesting. Although Chidi is 37, he is in the best shape of his life. He is a very long, lengthy striker for the division, so you do not want to stand and trade with him. That's what makes this fight so much fun, is Carlos does live off his power, and he's going to look to close distance and get in the pocket with Chidi. But with a nickname like Bang Bang, you better watch out. Breaking this down, Chidi has a Muay Thai style. He has an orthodox stance, a black belt in BJJ. He's been everywhere. He's a king of the cage, ring of fighting, Legacy FC, RFA, Bellator, LFA, and Contender Series alum. He is on a 1-fight losing streak and 3-3 since 2023. 15 of his 25 wins are via knockout. 5 of his 11 losses are via knockout. 4 via submission. So 9 of his 11 losses have come via finish. Again, kill or be killed. But he does have a 6-inch reach advantage and a 5-inch leg reach advantage. Now, Carlos is an LFA, PFL, and UAE Warriors alum. He's on a 1-fight losing streak and is 1-2 since 2023. And 11 of his 22 wins are via knockout. Now, I really don't know what to think, as I do think Chidi is going to win the striking exchanges with his length, but Carlos is going to have a chance for the finish with his power. Neither man will probably look to wrestle unless there is an easy opportunity to do so. I just have a feeling Chidi is going to win the distance battle unless Carlos looks for takedowns, which he might, knowing that that's his best chance, or if he could somehow put Chidi on his back foot and overpower him up in close range up against the cage. But I'm going to take the underdog, the dogs coming to eat. I'm taking Chidi, but again, avoiding this on parlays. These are very evenly contested fights. Great matchmaking for Houston. Kicking off the main card, we have Michel Demoledor Pereira, 32 years old with a 31-14-2 record, taking on Zach Savage Reese, 31 years old with a 10-2-1 record. Now, this is a weird showdown between two men in their primes that really could use a win right now to continue to have a chance at the top half of the middleweight division. With Michel, you never know what version of Pereira you're going to get. He seems to not always take things seriously, and he also is known to gas out by going 0-100 at the start of his fights, and then his opponents coming on strong after round 1. Round 1 is going to be key in this fight because I think Michel has more ways to win this fight unless Zach can get takedowns and hold Michel down. Breaking this down, Michel has a black belt in BJJ and karate. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, is 3-3 since 2023. 11 of his 31 wins are via knockout, 9 via submission, so 20 of his 31 wins via finish. Now, Zach is a Fury FC and Contender Series alum. He's on a 2-fight winning streak and is 5-2-1 since 2023. 5 of his 10 wins are via knockout, 3 via submission, so 8 of his 10 wins come via finish. Both of his losses are also via knockout. Now, he does have some length as well. He has a 4-inch reach advantage and a 3-inch leg reach advantage. Again, this is another fight that's probably going to go 0-100 right away and be pure chaos. Michel comes at you from everywhere. Very unorthodox attacks. He is also very powerful. Zach is a solid striker and a solid grappler who has more of a mixed attack, but I wouldn't be surprised if Michel just charges at him and steamrolls him. If Zach can make it out of round 1, I wouldn't be surprised if he can get takedowns and put himself in a position to win on the scorecards as well. But for the sake of picking, I'm taking Michel Pajeda. But again, avoiding this on any parlays, anything is possible. Moving on to the big boys in the heavyweight division. We have Auntie the Walking Trouble D'Elia, 35 years old with a 26-7 record and the number 9 next to his name, taking on Sergey Polar Bear Spivak, 31 years old with a 17-6 record and the number 7 next to his name. Now, although this is the heavyweight division, this is very much a grappler versus striker situation. You know, Sergey has resorted to more striking of late. I think if he tries to do that in this fight, he's going to get finished. Maybe he is pushed to do so by the UFC brass because they don't want grapplers and have been cutting grappling heavy fighters, especially the big guys. So he might be in desperation mode, and I think that plays to D'Elia's advantage. Breaking this down, Ante is a PFL alum and former champion. He is also a M1, Risen, and KSW alum. He's on a one-fight losing streak. He is 1-1 since 2023. 13 of his 26 wins are via knockout, 6 via submission, so 19 of his 26 wins via finish. Now, 4 of his 7 losses are also via knockout. Again, life in the heavyweight division. Now, Sergey has an orthodox stance. He's an Eagles FC alum. He has the third most takedowns landed in UFC heavyweight division history with 28. He has the highest takedown accuracy percentage in UFC heavyweight history at 65.1%. He's on a 2-fight losing streak and is 2-3 since 2023. 8 of his 17 wins are via submission, 7 via knockout, so 15 of his 17 wins via finish, and 4 of his 6 losses via knockout. Again, life in the heavyweight division, to kill or be killed. Now, this fight is going to have 2 different results, but I do have a feeling that Ante's hand speed is going to be too much, and he's going to find the sweet spot to get the finish. But there is an opportunity. Sergey smothers him up against the cage as a bigger heavyweight because D'Elia is about 25 pounds below the limit. He could smother him up against the cage, dirty box, or take him down and hold him there. But I'm going to take Ante D'Elia, but again, avoiding this on parlays, 50-50 at best. Moving on, some great fights here on the main card. In the featherweight division, we have Dan, now 100K Ige. No more 50K bonuses, so he's 100K Ige, 34 years old with a 19-10 record and the number 14 next to his name, taking on Melquizil, the Dalmatian Costa, 29 years old with a 25-7 record. Now, Melquizil is one of the hottest featherweights in the UFC, and Dan is desperately trying to defend his top 15 spot after a tough loss to the Bellator veteran Patricio Pitbull. You know, he's fought the best in the division for quite some time, but he needs to get that momentum back on his side, and this is no easy matchup to do so. You know, Dan has a D3 wrestling background out of Wartburg College. He trains with Extreme Couture. He was the guy that got Puna to join Wartburg Wrestling and then go into MMA. He has a black belt in BJJ, a brown belt in Judo. He's an RFA, Legacy FC, Titan FC, and Contender Series alum. He's on a 1-fight losing streak and is 4-4 since 2023. 7 of his 19 wins are via knockout, 5 via submission, so 12 of his 19 wins via finish. Melquizil trains out of Shootbox. He's an LFA alum. He's on a 5-fight winning streak, 6-2 since 2023. 8 of his 25 wins are via knockout, 8 via submission, so 16 of his 25 wins are via finish. Now, Dan, he is a very savvy striker. He's got good power and a beautiful, fast, straight jab. The problem is that he's struggled with grapplers, and Costa has solid grappling, and he's going to be aggressive in trying to take Ige down. I think Costa coming off that round 1 head kick knockout, he's going to be confident with his striking, but I think Dan comes prepared. Him and Extreme Couture find a good way to get the victory here. For that reason, I'm taking another underdog. The dog's coming to eat. But I am not putting this on any parlay. Melquizil is hot right now. It's hard to bet against him, but I think Dan's boxing is too much. Moving on, we have Jeff, Hands of Steel Neal, 35 years old with a 16-7 record and the number 12 next to his name, taking on Yarosh, the Doctor Medic, 32 years old with a 12-3 record. Now, this is another big-time fight between 2 power strikers. This main card should be absolute action. Both men have also been living in round 1 fights of late. Jeff hasn't seen a decision since 2024, and Yarosh hasn't since 2023. Jeff definitely has a bunch more experience against higher level competition in this division, but Jeff has recently came out and talked about some of his drug abuse, and now that he's sober, I think we are going to see the best version of himself. Breaking this down, Jeff trains out of Fortis MMA. He has a purple belt in BJJ. He's a Legacy FC, LFA, and Contender Series alum. He's on a one-fight losing streak and is 1-3 since 2023. 10 of his 16 wins are via knockout, and he does have a 4-inch reach advantage. Now, Yarosh trains out of Kings MMA. He has a blue belt in BJJ, an orange belt in Judo. He is a Contender Series alum. He's on a 2-fight winning streak and is 4-2 since 2023. 10 of his 12 wins are via knockout. Now, anything could happen in this fight, much like the other fights on the main card. I expect Jeff to be more of the measured fighter. Yarosh is getting a big opportunity here, probably didn't quite deserve it, but he's going to be the aggressor trying to close distance and throw bombs. I'd be shocked if this fight goes 3 rounds. For the sake of picking, I'm taking the veteran and Jeff Neal. I am putting him on that parlay. We marking that ish down, and we getting that bread. I just think Yarosh is too wild. He's going to come in here headhunting, and Jeff should be prepared. Moving on to the main event. Again, main events and fight night cards are 5-round fights, although they aren't title fights. And this one has huge implications in the division, because if Sean Strickland wins, he stays at the top. A lot of those guys have fought each other. If Fluffy Hernandez wins, it's a new face at the top of the division on a very hot win streak. A new contender arises. With that said, we do have Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, 32 years old with a 15-2-1 record and the number 4 next to his name, taking on Sean Strickland, 34 years old with a 29-7 record and the number 3 next to his name. Again, this is a clash of style showdown. A potential title shot on the line. Anthony has been on an absolute tear, a very dominant win streak, getting 6 of his last 8 wins via finish. He does rely on his offensive wrestling. And although Sean can wrestle, he never does in the fights, but he does showcase great takedown defense. Sean is more of a point fighter with that Floyd Mayweather-like Philly shell rolling the elbows. He has very good striking defense. He isn't much threat to get a finish or put Hernandez in a bad spot, in my opinion. He's more of a volume fighter. He does get in your face and attacks you with volume and wears on you over the course of 5 rounds, but I don't expect him to be able to wear out Fluffy at all, because Fluffy does that to his opponents as well, and I think the mix of striking and grappling, he will be okay, and I think he's going to have to take some shots to close distance, but I don't see Sean landing big power shots to deter him. Now, Sean was somehow able to outlast Paulo Costa and defend enough strikes while winning on the scorecards. And Paulo Costa is a serious fighter. He has major power. And he also did the same thing against the very quick Israel Adesanya. So we cannot count him out. But we did see DDP have success against Sean in the grappling department in both of their fights. I don't think he has the grappling skill that Hernandez does. Although Hernandez doesn't have the size that DDP does, I think his cardio and technical skill is much better. So that makes this even more interesting. Breaking this down, Anthony has an orthodox stance. He has a brown belt in BJJ. 3 of his last 4 fights have been performance of the night. He's showing up. He's showing out. He's an LFA and Contender Series alum. He has the most takedowns landed in a UFC middleweight division history with 54. He has the second highest significant strike accuracy percentage in UFC middleweight history with 62.8%. I think that comes into play. He has the most significant ground strikes landed in a middleweight bout with 97 against Michelle Pajeda. He has the most takedowns attempted in a welterweight bout with 29 against Pajeda. The largest striking differential in middleweight bout at plus 128 against Pajeda. He dominated him, completely gassed. He gassed himself out round 1 trying to finish Fluffy, and Fluffy put it on him. He also has the latest knockout in middleweight bout, 2 minutes and 22 seconds in round 5 versus Pajeda. He had the 2021 Submission of the Year against submission artist Rodolfo Vieira. He's on that 8-fight winning streak, very hard to do in the UFC in any division. And 9 of his 15 wins are via submission. Now, Sean has an orthodox stance. He also trains out of Extreme Couture. That gym is going to be busy on this card. He has a black belt in BJJ. He is a former middleweight champion. 3 of his last 5 fights have been performance of the night or fight of the night. He shows up, he shows out. He has the second most significant distance strikes landed in UFC history in 2019 and in middleweight history with 1,465. He has the second most strikes landed per minute in UFC middleweight division history at 6.19. He has the longest average fight time in UFC middleweight division history at 18 minutes, 11 seconds. The most significant strikes attempted in a middleweight bout with 428 against Uriah Hall. He has the most significant strikes attempted in a UFC light heavyweight bout with 405 against Nasruddin Imavov. He has the most total strikes attempted in a UFC light heavyweight bout with 420 against Nasruddin Imavov. He has the most significant head strikes in a UFC middleweight bout with 173 against Uriah Hall. Again, this guy is a volume fighter. He has the most significant strikes landed in a middleweight bout, 173 in his first fight against DDP. He had the 2023 upset of the year against Israel Adesanya. I did not see that coming. He's the 2020 comeback fighter of the year after his nasty motorcycle accident. The 2023 most improved fighter of the year. He's a King of the Cage alum and former champ with 5 successful title defenses. He's on a 1-fight losing streak and is 4-2 since 2023. Both losses to DDP. And 11 of his 29 wins are via knockout. Now at the top, I broke it down pretty well. Again, can Sean Strickland defend the takedowns and outstrike Fluffy and slowly beat him up over the course of 25 minutes? Absolutely. I just think Anthony is so full of confidence right now, he'll walk through some of those strikes because Sean typically just jabs and teeps and they're kind of soft strikes and closes the distance, works him against the cage. Once he has him down, he's going to wear on him. They both have great cardio. Both can make it their style of a fight. But for the sake of picking, I am taking Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. But again, I'm avoiding this on any parlays. These fights could go either way, which should make for a great card. I previewed it a 5 out of 10. The main card alone can make it probably a 7 out of 10. So I can't wait. It should be a doozy. So much violence with the matchmaking potentials here. And that sets us up for, I think, 9 weeks of consecutive UFC action. We get another location-based fight night card next week in Mexico. It is a solid card. We did get a short notice headliner with the 6th-ranked Brandon Moreno and 15th-ranked Yoni Kavanaugh, which is kind of a shocker, but a fun stylistic matchup. That's episode 134. I'm your host, Shane Gillette. See you next week.